are doing well. Welcome to you all to the Commerce Positivity lecture. Well, in today's lecture, we will be totally discussing on the topic like research, meaning or definitions of research, natures of research, scientific research process, type of a research, and ethical concern in research. So let's start with the meaning or the concept of research. So, what is research? Well, research in simple term refers to a search. It is a search or investigations for a knowledge. Well, research. It is also known as scientific and systematic search for informations on a particular topic or the issue. It is also known as an art of scientific investigations. Well, different scholars have given the definitions of research in different sense. According to Franz Kellinger, in 1986, research is a systematic, controlled, empirical, and critical investigations of hypothetical propositions about the presumed relations among natural phenomena. Similarly, another scholar here we have is that John Best in 1992. According to him, research is a systematic and objective analysis and recording of observations that may lead to the development of a theory. So, well, in conclusion, we can simply say that systematic investigations into and study of material and source in order to establish fact and reach new conclusions or theory is known as research. Natures or features of research. Now let's study about the natures or features of research. This will make us more clear about the meaning of research. Research undertakes the depth study of any issue or subject which helps to enhance the existing knowledge or solve any specific problem of the organizations. Even though the features of different type of research are different, but some common features here we have is that the first features here we have is that objective. A good research should be objective and it must answer the research questions specifically, not in a subjective way. Okay? This requires the formulations of a proper hypothesis. Otherwise, there may be a lack of configurations between the research questions and the hypothesis. General availability is another features here we have. Generally, research is undertaken considering to the sample. The finding from the research should be applicable in the large populations even though it is drawn from sample. Okay? Free from personal bias is another nature or features here we have. A good research must be free from the research personal bias and must be objective, not the subjective. It means that methodology should be used in such a way so that the researchers cannot use his or her perceptions and change the data for manipulating the result. Okay? Systematic is another feature of research. A good research study should follow various well-planned steps. All steps must be interrelated and one step should lead to another step. Okay? Use of such step of a research helps to bring uniformity in research work and report writing. Thus, research should follow the step of research scientifically. Okay? Reproducible is another nature here we have. A research should be able to get approximately the same result. If researchers use same methodology, investigation is conducted on the populations having characteristics similar to the early stage. Directed to our solutions of the problem is another nature or features. Research identify the problem and investigations on specific or every specific of the problem. It tried to find out the probable solutions of such problem through deep study. Thus, research is always directed toward the solutions of problem. Logical is another natures. Here we have research collect the informations from various sources and interpret the informations. Research does not only present the result on the basis of interpretations but provide those results using various logic. Okay. The last natures here we have is that replicable. Yes, of course. Conducting research using same methodology is replicable. Conducting research in the same subject repeatedly helps to increase the replicability of research results. Previous theories should be tested again to improve in those theory after the pass of a time, and such replicable test results can be easily generated in the large number of the organizations. So now let's study about the process of scientific research. What are the processes involved in scientific research? Well, scientific research process refers to the work or step which are to be followed while conducting research. Okay? Such process helps to carry forward the research work and draw reliable conclusions. Scientific research involves a series of steps that need to be conducted in a sequence in order to achieve the goal. So, the first process or step here we have is that sensing or realizing the problem. Yes, of course, research is conducted to solve the problem in our environment, that is social, managerial, business, behavioral, etc. There are many things which may not go smoothly. Some problems affect them. One has to observe these situations and then sense or realize the problem presented within the organizations. Similarly, another process or step here we have is that problem identifications. On the careful observations over something in the environment, we would find many problems that are affecting the environment. In this step, researchers try to identify what exactly are the problems within the situations or the environment. Okay? The factors associated with the problem are also identified. Theoretical framework is another important step. This is another important step of scientific research problem. Okay? In this step, researchers make an attempt to collect the informations about the problem concerned. The associations between various of the problem are also identified. On the basis of informations from the literacy review, a theoretical framework is developed in order to solve the problem. Similarly, another process here we have is that formulations of hypothesis or hypothesis formulations. Yes, of course, after developing the theoretical framework, it is necessary. Yeah, of course, it is necessary to develop a working hypothesis. Working hypothesis is a tentative assumption made to draw out and test its logical and empirical consequences. In research, the hypothesis has a vital role, so it should be formulated carefully. Okay? Research design is another important step or process. In this step, the researchers select the appropriate research design. The research design is a conceptual structure within which research will be conducted. The main purpose of selecting a research design is to provide the collections of relevant evidence with minimal expenditure of time, effort, and the money. Another step here we have is that collections of data. As we all know that in dealing with any problem, it is necessary to collect adequate and appropriate data. Yes, there are several methods of collecting data. It can be either primary or secondary type. Depending upon the natures of a problem, either primary or secondary data can be collected. Okay. Analysis of a data or data analysis is another important step. After the data had been collected, the researchers analyze the data. By using various statistical measures, the data are analyzed. Okay. After analyzing the data, the researcher's next step is to test the hypothesis that he have formulated earlier. Hypothesis may be tested through the use of a different statistical test such as Z-test, T-test, ANOVA test, etc. Hypothesis testing will be resulted either in expecting or accepting or rejecting the hypothesis. Okay. The last process of scientific research here we have is that generalizations or interpretations or refinement of a theory or practice. Okay. This is the final step. This is the last or final step. Yes. This is the last or final step of a scientific research process. If a hypothesis is tested, it may be possible for researchers to arrive at generalizations. The real value of a research always lies in its ability, okay, to arrive at a certain generalizations. If the researcher has no hypothesis to start with, he will have to explain his finding on the basis of some theory which is known as interpretations. Okay? Yeah, I just hope you all understand the process of research. Scientific research is not undertaken based on opinion, institutions and experience. It involves a series of steps which must be followed in a sequence. Yeah, that's it. I just hope you all understand the process of scientific research. Now, let's study about the characteristic or features of scientific research. A research study has to meet a certain conditions in order to call a scientific research. In other words, scientific research has some certain characteristic which it must satisfy. The first characteristic here we have is that purposiveness. Yes, of course. Scientific investigations must have a focus or a specific purpose. Research without purpose leads to research or study how, where. The purpose of a research directly influences all the activities of the researchers. Okay. Another characteristic here we have is that testability. Yes, of course. The purpose of scientific research is to develop and test the hypothesis. Test of hypothesis is therefore an important characteristic of a scientific research. Okay. Scientific study which do not develop and test the hypothesis do not meet the criteria of a scientific research. Replicability is another characteristic of features here we have. Scientific research must be replicable. Okay. Our research results which are replicable have more expectability and confidence as being scientific. In other words, by using similar methods and procedures of data collections and analysis are followed by the previous study, the other research study must also come out with a similar result. Okay. Objectivity is another characteristic. The more objective the analysis and interpretations of data, the more scientific the research investigations become. Though you might start with some initial subjective value and belief, you interpreted the data should spillage of personal values and bias. Rigorous is another characteristic here we have. Rigorous connect carefulness, degree of attitude in research investigations. Okay. Scientific research is defined a rigorous process. It involves a good theory, base, and a careful thought out of a methodology available. General availability is another characteristic. Here we have scientific research aim at making generalizations. Okay, by generalizing we mean the wider applicable of research finding. Of course, not many research finding can be generalizable to all the setting, situations or the organizations. Now, let's study about the type of a research. The first type here we have is that applied research. Yes, applied research refers to a scientific study. Applied research is a scientific study and research that mainly seek to solve the practical problem available within the organizations. Okay, applied research is used to find the solution. It is used to solve the problem or to find the solutions to everyday problem, cure illness and develop innovative technologies rather than to acquire knowledge for the knowledge sake. According to P.V. Young, he said that generating knowledge that could years in the betterment of a human benefit is termed as the applied research. Let's take an example of applied research like improving agriculture crop productions, treat or cure a specific disease. These are included in the applied research. Similarly, another type of research here we have is that basic research or the pure research. It is derived by scientific curiosity or interest in a scientific questions. The main motive or the main focus of basic research is to expand man knowledge, not to create or invent something. Okay, according to P.V. Young, generating knowledge for the knowledge sake is termed simply as a basic or pure research. Let's take example. Basic science investigations provide for the questions such as how did the university begin? What are proton, neutron and electron composed of? These are included in the basic or pure research. Okay. Descriptive research. Another type of research here we have is that descriptive research. It refers to the research that provide an accurate protocol of characteristic of a particular individual's situations or the group. Descriptive research is also known as statistic research. The study are mean of discovering new meaning, describing what exists, determining the frequency with which something occurs and categorizing informations. Let's take one example. Finding the most frequent disease that affect the child of a town. The reader of a researchers will know what to do to prevent the disease, thus more people will live a healthier life. Similarly, another type of research here we have is that exploratory research. Exploratory research is research conducted for a problem that has not been clearly defined. It often occurs before we know enough to make conceptual distinctions or positions an exploratory relationship. Let's take one example. Exploratory research tries to understand subject of study in a preliminary way. Research designed for exploratory work usually depends on direct observations of small selections or what is to be studied. For example, drinking behavior of a people. Last type of research we have is that evaluations research. Evaluations research, also known as program evaluations, refers to research where a researcher try to make standard in order to compare the work according to standard and to take corrective actions in order to improve the problem. Let's take one example where a test of a children in school is used to shape teaching methods that will result in optimal learning. Formative evaluations can assess study, such as implementations, monitoring, success of a process or project needs, looking at such as type and level of a needs. Now, let's study about the ethical concern in research. Ethical or ethics refers to the assumptions based on which a person decide anything is right or wrong. Ethics also encourage the procedures of analyzing complex problem. A researcher should decide what is right and what is wrong. Okay? Ethical issues are determined by the behavior presented by the researchers and concern over the right of affected party while undertaking research work is known as ethical issue. Okay? The first ethical concern in research is not putting pressures to participants for getting informations. Yes, of course, a researcher should not give any physical, moral, and other pressures to get essential informations to the respondent. Here, respondent is a person from whom researchers try to collect the informations. Okay? Researchers should not give pressures to provide such confidential informations if respondents do not like to disclose such informations. As well, researchers should not give pressures to respondents to provide personal informations. Okay? Another ethical concern, not deceptions of participants. Researchers should give concern informations to participants and slow curiosity, but should not give wrong informations. Such behavior impacts adversely to researchers' results. Thus, researchers should give freedom to the participants to give their opinion, but should not give pressures to get answers as expected. Okay? Not fabricating the data is another concern. Researchers should not modify the facts, figures, and formations while developing results as per the interests of the researchers. Okay? Researchers should present the figures and facts as it is in his or her report. Otherwise, the value of a research gets decreased. Similarly, the another concern here we have is that not presenting dishonesty. Yes, of course, a researcher should show honesty while collecting data and information, selecting data, analysis methods and procedures, and using them. As well, researchers should show honesty while presenting information, data, and the result in the report. Okay, researchers should not modify the fact and their guessed. Such dishonesty leads to misuse of response and reduce the worthiness of the research. Okay, no manipulation is another concern. A researcher should explain research design without prejudice. Conclusions drawn from the research should be presented as it is in the report. Okay, whenever the informations or feedback are received from review, they are to be presented as it is. Okay. Similarly, another issue or concern here we have is that no illegal work. Yes, of course, a researcher should respect and follow all the related rules and regulations of the government and even the rule of concerned organizations. Okay, researchers should consider to the rule and regulations of those organizations from which the data are collected to the current research work. Okay, no discrimination. Yes, of course, researchers should not discriminate to the person while collecting and analyzing on the basis of caste, grade, sex, culture, religious qualifications, etc. Equal value is to be given to all respondents while collecting and analyzing the data. Okay, such work helps to develop accurate research in the research. Similarly, the last concern here we have is that respect to the social and cultural norms and value. Every society has its own value and norms. We know that. Researchers should not harm to those cultures, norms, values of the individuals and society while collecting and analyzing data. Okay? Researchers should respect to the cultures, norms and values of the individuals and the society. Researchers should show neutrality while conducting research in the area where there is diversified cultures and social norms and value. Yeah, I just hope you all understand the ethical concerns, meaning of research, characteristic of research, type of research. Yeah, that's it. I just hope you all understand. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Take care. Stay safe.